Hey, in this video, I'm going to answer the question, how much of a down payment is required for an SBA loan? You might be wondering, what do I know about SBA loans? Why am I talking on this topic? Well, my name's Adam Huxama. I'm the co-founder of Projection Hub, and what I do today is help people apply for SBA loans, and specifically, we help produce financial projections and business plans in the process of helping people apply for an SBA loan. But before doing this, I spent 12 years as the executive director of an SBA lender, where we approved over 1,500 SBA loans during my time in that role. So know a lot about SBA lending and projections. And so today I wanted to specifically answer this question that I get fairly often, which is how much of a down payment is going to be required from me if I am applying for an SBA loan. So the textbook answer is going to be 10%, that you're going to be required to have 10% of the total project as equity. And so if you have a project that is $750,000, you are going to need to put in $75,000 as equity, and then you could borrow the other 90%. Now, just because that is the rule and that's what SBA allows you to do, does not mean that automatically every SBA lender, every bank is automatically going to follow that same standard. And this could really range by the type of business, whether it's a startup or an existing business or an acquisition or what industry it's in. So lenders are then going to kind of on top of that rule of the 10% down payment, they may have additional expectations where they may say, hey, this is a startup, coffee shop, and this is really risky. And so we want a 30% down payment. We want 30% equity in the business. So just because 10% is the bare minimum does not mean that you might not be required to put in more. So keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to mention is that kind of on the other side of things, on an acquisition deal in particular, there is the ability to actually put in less than 10% equity because the seller of the business is able to do what is called a seller note. So let's say you had a business that you're buying for $1 million, and you need to put in 100,000, 10% of that, right? Well, you would actually be able to invest just 50,000, 5%, and then you could have another 50,000 as a seller note, which means you're going to pay the seller as a loan over a period of time. You're going to pay the seller that last 50,000 of the purchase price, and that seller note portion can be considered equity in that deal. So it can count towards the total 10 that is required. So there are situations in an acquisition where you might be able to actually only put up 5% of your own equity, count the other 5 from the seller. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that you don't have to personally put up all that equity. You might not personally need to put up any of the equity. In theory, you could raise equity from outside investors. So let's say you're going to be the primary business owner and the operator of the business, but you don't have the cash, but maybe a friend, family, business partner, they're going to come in as the investor, the business partner that has cash and can put in the equity portion towards the deal. And you may be the operator and maybe still an owner, maybe even a majority owner, but you are not putting in the cash. So that is also possible. The one thing you'll need to know is that anyone that owns 20% or more of the business is going to have to personally guarantee that full SBA loan. So as you're trying to raise equity from investors, if the investor says, yeah, I'll put in the cash towards the equity, but I don't want to personally guarantee the whole loan also, well, then you need to make sure you keep that investor with equity or ownership stake less than 20%. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to share. If you are working on an SBA loan application, have some questions, need some guidance on that, feel free to reach out, leave a comment, or reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. Or if you're working on a loan application, need projections or a business plan, that's something we can help with. So we'll put a link to our website, projectionhub.com, down in the description of the video below. You can go take a look at our library of different financial projection templates. and take a look at those and find one that could be useful for your loan application. If you need any help, again, we're here. If you found this video helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel to help us out and get the word out to other folks that are trying to get an SBA loan. So thanks.